So the age-old question of how do you apply fletches to an arrow? So today I'm going to show you how to go through the complete process of defletching, putting lines on, putting your fletches on and getting your arrow ready to shoot. So let's roll the intro and then get to the video. So first of all, what are you going to need? Obviously you've got your arrow here. I've got some old fletches on here that need replacing, so I'll show you how to take those off in a minute. The other stuff you're going to need obviously is your fletches. Always keep these in some sort of box or something so they don't get crumpled. Then you'll need a pair of scissors, your double-sided adhesive tape that you're going to use to put your fletches on the arrow, then some top and tail tape that you use to stick down the ends of the fletches, and then finally I've got this as a biter tri-liner, and this is what I use to put lines on the arrow, and I use this to mark where I need to put the fletches, and then some sort of pen that marks on black carbon and that you can see. This is a white paint pen by Edding. This is a really good one, but you can use a Sharpie, maybe a gold Sharpie, something like that. So you can also use a pencil, but this is all you need: something to mark, a pen, and then your fletching stuff. So I'll move the camera now so you can see better what I'm doing, and then I'll show you the exact process of how to refletch an arrow. So the first stage is obviously to get rid of the fletches that were on there. So you simply just tear these off, and then I normally use my fingernails just to get the tape off the arrow, and then you can just tear that off, and then just use your fingernail and then your thumb to get the rolled off plastic off the arrow, and you can just use that, as you can see, to take most of the plastic off. And then again on the other strip, and then that is a rough clean of the arrow. So what you can do now is, depending on how dirty the arrow is, if I'm refletching like this, I normally just clean it with my thumb and maybe get a tiny bit of acetone or something. What you can do is clean this with acetone, or you can clean it with just some light, very light scouring pad, and only really finely apply it. What you don't want to do is use a knife or scrape the carbon like this too hard with a pair of scissors. So you can very lightly do this just to get some of the adhesive off, but make sure you're not scratching the carbon. If you use acetone or something like that, I try not to use this very much, but if you have to because it's super dirty, then make sure you take the knock off and then put the knock back on afterwards. The acetone, the chemicals in the acetone make plastic crack. So what you don't want to do is put the acetone on and make your knock crack, and then your knock explodes and damages your arrow, or even worse, causes you an injury. So if you put acetone on, take the knock off, but most of the time, as you can see, this is pretty clean just by rubbing all the plastic off and getting all the tape off. And now you can see there's some lines on here, but we want to make sure the lines are stuck on properly, in terms of that they're really in a nice place and really clear, so that when you put the fletches on, you can really easily see. So now we need to put some lines on. So now it's time to use the tri-liner to put the lines on. So simply, you've got your pen, you've got your tri-liner, you use the attachment relative to your knock. So this is a biter number 1 knock. So you put your knock in the attachment like this, and then you put that attachment in the tri-liner like this. And what I've done here is, previously you have to find the alignment that works for you, and you mark it on the back here. And then when you've got that, that is your position for your arrows, and you simply line up the biter here with the red mark like that, and that slots in nicely. You can see if I didn't do that, it doesn't go in. So that's lined up there, and you put the arms down, and then you simply use your pen and mark like that. So these pens can be a little bit temperamental, so you have to just make sure you've got the line, and then mark the other one. And as you can see, the pen is a little bit temperamental. They do that, but you just have to be patient. Sometimes, as you can see, I've got a couple of these pens because sometimes they run dry. So there we go. So then we've got 3 lines that we can then use to fletch our arrows. And as you can see, they're in different places to the original lines, just because this alignment was slightly off. So you have to get it right for you, but this is just for the sake of demonstration. Now we're going to use these new lines to put the fletches on. So now we've got the lines. The next thing is to get your tape, your double-sided tape, and to cut it to the length that you need. So get a fletch, and you always want just slightly longer than the fletch. So here I line up the fletch with the left edge, and then I cut to the length of the fletch like this. And then that's cut that side, and as you can see now it's slightly longer, and I'll just cut to the edge here of where you can see the joining starting. So I'll just cut there. And then now you've got your double-sided tape ready, and you can see it's just slightly longer than the fletch. If you do it a bit too short, then what you can see is the fletch will start lifting up. So you definitely want the double-sided tape a tiny bit longer than the fletch. So now you just get this tape, you take one side off, like so. You get your arrow. I like to face it away from me like this. And what you can see is when you do this, you can see the lines down here. And then you simply line up the tape with the line straight along. I line up the left edge of the tape with the right edge of the line and just line it up all the way down so that you've got the tape in the right place. So I'll just do that now. So here you can see the adhesive is put on here and it's attached just in line with the line here, and then I just simply get something to just really press down the adhesive like this, make sure it's attached, and then you just repeat this step for the other two lines so that you've got all three done. So I'll do that now. Now, once you've got all three of the double-sided tapes on, you've made sure they're nicely applied down, then you simply take the final side of the backing off. So now you've got the adhesive, and then it's time to put the fletches on. So I take all three off and then put the fletches on. So if we get the fletch here, again, so I just put the arrow away from me like this so I can see very clearly the line and the adhesive, and I simply put the fletch on the arrow. I use my left hand, put the fletch on the arrow. What you want to do is you want to angle the fletch very slightly. So I start the line I've drawn, I put the fletch on the left side of the line at the top. So if you're looking down the arrow, it would be the left side. From this angle, it's the bottom of the line. So I put the fletch to the bottom of the line here, and then when I do the other end of the fletch, I put it to the top of the line. So you're using the width of the line to create a slight angle. As you can see there, where the fletch is, you can't see the line here, and you can see a tiny bit of the line here. So I've just angled the fletch slightly to the right for a right-handed archer, for the right-handed SpinWing, and this is just to increase the amount that the SpinWing makes the arrow rotate, and it generally gives a bit more stability because there's more rotation. So you simply put that down, use a slight angle, and then once you've done that, use your thumb to really solidly put the SpinWing down, make sure it's applied, and then you just repeat this for the other two pieces of tape. So I'll do that now. So now, as you can see, I've got all three SpinWings applied. I've put them down and they're all in a good position. So now it's time to apply the end tape, and I like to do it this way around so you can see. So you put the arrow away from you and you apply the end tape to one fletch, and then I just, as you do this, stretch the tape slightly and count the number of fletches you do. And I do 3 on each fletch, so 9 in total. So that's 1 fletch, 2 fletch, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then you just tear it like that. And when you're stretching it, it just helps to apply it a bit better, make sure it doesn't come off. If you don't stretch it, it will just kind of fall off over time and be a bit loose, so that's not what you want. Now, optionally, you can also do the top of the fletches, and I'll show you that now, but you don't have to. Not everyone does, and if you are putting the fletches on properly, if you're putting the SpinWings on properly, they won't fall off or anything. If you're new to this and this is the first time you're fletching, then maybe put the end tape on the back as well. As you get better, it's not essential. You can do it if you want, it's not essential. But I'll show you how to do that now, just so you've got it. So you just turn the arrow around, and again, with the SpinWing tape, You just do the same thing, but the difference here is you change how far you put the SpinWing tape onto the SpinWing. So at the bottom you put a fair amount, on here you just want to just barely touch the end of the SpinWing. If you do it too much here, then you're going to overly bend the SpinWing and cause it to deform. So here you can see, as you can see there, I've done the back tape and it's nicely applied and it's not too far on the vane here. If I was to apply it too far this way onto the vane, then it's going to bend the vane like that too much, and that's not what you want because it's going to deform the shape. So you just want a tiny bit, and this is actually why I prefer not having the back tape, because it gives a nicer angle of the vane here. So this is optional, but you don't have to do it. Now, one thing that I didn't mention is with these overnocks, what you can do as well is position the fletching right up to the knock, and it's a really nice, useful tool to be able to make sure the fletches, are in exactly the same height every time. So if you don't have overnocks like this, then you can use, just the line like I demonstrated. But if you do, then you can put the fletch right up to the knock and use that as your vertical marker to make sure the fletch is in the same place every time. So that is how you put SpinWings on an arrow. So that was exactly how you fletch your arrows and the complete process of how to refletch an arrow. I hope you found that video useful. As always, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'll also put the links to social media down below. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.